Good morning and welcome to Authentic Conversations Emoji. And this is a new day. It's the beginning of a new series. It's that's going to be strictly YouTube. I decided to put it on Facebook this morning because I thought it would be nice to tell the audience on Facebook that I'll be doing a relationship series on YouTube. Anyways, while we're waiting for people to come into the studio, let's just sit here and chit chat for a minute. I hope everyone had an amazing weekend. I hope you guys are staying safe. They just shut down Texas, the state Texas in the United States just got shut down again because coronavirus is all over the place. It's the numbers have doubled in certain areas of Texas. So now we're back into lockdown. My family and I have been in lockdown for almost 3 or 4 months now. But anyways, as long as we're alive, we can do a lot of things. So hang in there. Let's get people in here. And while we're waiting, welcome back to Authentic Conversations Emoji. And my name is Mojisola Wilson, and I'm a certified life coach. I am also a diversity and inclusion certified speaker. One of the things that I love to do really is help people grow and cross the bridge. And, because of my experiences and my journey, I've been in relationships. I've been married before and the marriage didn't work. I've been through therapy. I have come out of the closet. There's been a whole lot. I have 4 children. And I have a blended family as well. So I decided to start talking about issues that are family oriented, not just social consciousness and such. Because look, if we heal from the home, hopefully we'll be able to get along better when we're outside in society. So a young lady inboxed me about, I think a week ago now, and she was telling me how she's stuck. Her letter, paraphrased, basically said, look, Auntie Moji, I've been divorced for about 4 years and I can't seem to move on. I still do everything with my ex-husband and his new wife. And I can't seem to get away from him and his family. What should I do? So of course I signed her up as a new client for Authentic Transformation, my life coaching business. And but I figure we should talk about these things because look, we can't get to the future if we're not allowing the past to stay there. I know so many people, including myself, that got divorced or separated from a relationship, good, bad, or indifferent. Sometimes relationships just don't work. 50% of relationships all over the world are said to end up in divorces, or marriages are said to end up in divorces. So if you get into a relationship with a person, there's a possibility, if you're not properly prepared, that your relationship will end in a divorce. Now, I use the title, honestly, letting go of previous relationships, because I see too many friends and family members that have not moved on, walked away from a relationship. I see them struggling like fish out of water, trying to rebuild their lives, trying to build new relationships, and it doesn't work because until you've let go of the load that you're carrying, it's almost impossible to be able to see what's ahead of you, to be able to receive what you're meant to have. If your hands are full, like my dad says, when your hands closed, nothing goes out, but nothing comes in either because your hands are closed. So how do we unpack? How do we get to the next level where we are able to receive love? And yes, you're thinking, oh my God, what does she know about this stuff? She's a lesbian. I'm a human first before I'm LGBTQ, because at the end of the day, we all bleed the same way. At the end of the day, we all go through the same pain and the same hurt. We love the same way. So let me tell you a little bit about me and my journey. I got married knowing fully well that I was not I didn't know what I just felt different. I didn't know what it was. It took quite a while for me to admit to myself that I am a lesbian. So I settled for someone that I knew I should never have married, I should never have been with. Long story short, I woke up one morning after trying to commit suicide 3 times. I woke up that morning and said, hey, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. So, and I did that because I knew for a fact that there was something bigger for me, because God had told me that. And then I started my journey to self first. 2006, I walked out of a relationship that the whole, most people thought was so super fantastic and all that. But when you have low self-esteem, when you don't trust yourself, when you don't love yourself, it's kind of hard to accept the love of somebody super fantastic. It's hard to even choose a person that's going to treat you right when you personally do not believe that you're worth it. So when you leave a relationship that's not working, maybe your husband leaves you, maybe he cheats on you, maybe he beats you, for whatever reason, you decide to walk away from that marriage, from that relationship, from that friendship, from whatever you call a situationship. Because there are a lot of people that are living together for 10, 15 years and they're in a situationship. So let's assume you wake up one morning like I did and said, you know what, I can't do this anymore. We're talking, I did that in 2006. But it took me quite a long time. It wasn't until 20, I think I started dating again in 2009, because I went through therapy. And when you're married to a person that was verbally abusive, whatever abusive, or even somebody that loved you very much, but because you're not your authentic self, you could not reciprocate, you could not feel their love, you could not accept their love. At some point, you still have to go through a process. What are the 3 steps that we need to go through to be able to get to the next place in life, to be able to receive a new relationship, to be able to even see the light in the tunnel, let alone walk towards the light? Number 1, I believe we all have to take accountability for our part in every relationship, in every marriage, because it takes 2 to tango. It takes 2 people to create a relationship. It takes 2 people to allow the breakdown of a relationship. And let me tell you, sometimes something as small as not saying good morning, sometimes something as small as not acknowledging that there's a problem, because a lot of us, especially women, we like to live in la la land. We like to pretend like everything is super fantastic, right? So your partner is already pulling away from you, but you don't see it. You keep trying instead of you accepting what is real from what your fantasy is. A lot of times people fall into that nonsense and they stay for many, many years. So now when we're talking about relationships and we're talking about the things, that happened in the past, you have to unpack the suitcase. If you don't unpack the suitcase, you're just going to be dragging the dead bodies along with you. One of the things that I learned to do, because I came from this school where I personally thought, oh, if I break up with somebody, we have to be best friends and we can hang out together, until I dated someone whose all her friends were her ex-partners. And then I started to look around and go, wait, there's something wrong with this picture, because it's just too incestuous. For you to be able to move on, you have to let go of everything in the past. You have to let go of everything. I mean, if you're married to the person, their in-laws, their family is no longer your family, because how do you connect to them? You're now an ex. You're no longer a wife or a husband. You cannot believe that you belong in that family anymore. Your children do, though. See, let's not get it twisted. Your children belong in the family, yes, but definitely not you. So you have to redefine yourself. You have to find a new label for yourself. You really have to find yourself all over again, because you've been part of an entity. They say when 2 people come together, they become one. So when you separate, you have to become whole. This is one of the reasons why I tell a lot of my clients, go into a relationship 100-100 and not 50-50, because when you are 50 or part of a 50, you are never whole. When you're 50 and you leave the other 50, then now you feel lost, right? So bottom line is that one of the most important things in my eyes is to be able to see the journey clearly. Where did I go wrong? What did I do to contribute to the breakup? Was I jealous? Was I not confident enough? What is it? Was I too complacent? Did I say no when I mean yes? Did I say yes when I mean no? Did I put my foot down and not allow somebody to treat me like garbage? See, when we love each other, and for me, Moji, it was a journey. I didn't just wake up after trying to commit suicide. I didn't just wake up and everything was super fantastic. No, I went through therapy. I read a lot of books. I went to the Tony Robbins. I had a life coach. I had a life coach and I had a therapist at the same time at one point in my life, because look, when you're flying high, I'm walking around in Chanel suits and I'm walking around with Louis Vuitton bags and things like that. And I'm number one in real estate, but I was miserable as hell. I'm getting beat up for no reason because I did not love myself enough to live my authentic life. So when I finally had the courage to leave that relationship, I had to like me again. I had to search for me because I was lost. I didn't know who I was. So I had to go on that journey to find myself. And let me tell you something, what I found, I didn't like. So now I had to rebuild myself. I had to study. I had to read books. I read so many books. Oh my God. The Celestial Prophecies, The 10th Innings, The Law of Attraction. There's so many books that I will put out there on YouTube next week when I start the series. This is just a teaser for you guys to have a clue of what we'll be doing. Because I believe that relationships, friendships, loveships, courtships, childships, that's part of the problem with the world that we live in today, because most people are feeling so disconnected from everybody else. A lot of people are angry. We don't get to see each other clearly. Hello, Kevin. We don't get to see each other clearly. So when you talk about lives that matter, people can't see their lives mattering, so they don't value other people's lives as well. Walking away from a relationship is one of the hardest things to do. But once you've done it, how do you rebuild yourself? How do you claim your identity back? How do you become who you want to be? How do you allow yourself to be seen so that you can attract what it is that you're looking for in a partner? Right? Before you even think of dating, first of all, you have to let go. You have to close the door to the past relationship. You cannot be hanging out at the same parties all the time. You cannot be hanging out with the man and his new wife, or the man and his new husband, or the man and his new girlfriend, or the woman and her new girlfriend, depending on where you fall on the spectrum. I'm LGBTQ, you might be heterosexual. It's the same world we live in. The universe is the same wherever you go. So basically what I'm saying is that when you walk out of a relationship, understand that that relationship is gone. You have to redefine yourself. You have to heal. You have to understand that this was not all you, but you have to take accountability for your part in that journey. For instance, when I started this conversation, I talked about how I was a lesbian. I was lesbian, but I didn't admit that to myself. So I allowed myself to be in a relationship with a person that was cheating before we got married. That was really not. I just focused on my businesses and I ran with it. And when you do that, when you're not your authentic self, when you go into a relationship, you're not going to pick the right people. You're going to be with, I have a friend that's LGBTQ, he's gay, but because he's not really out, he's dating married people, married men, and sneaking around. How's that going to work? And then I have another friend that's straight, but he is no longer in love with his wife. So he has girlfriends on the side. He picks them up and drops them off like a pair of shoes or slippers. Until you become your authentic self, it's hard to find true love. Until you become your authentic self, it's hard to attract, not even find. Because the ideal thing is to be walking in your authentic life, living your life, whatever it is that you like to do, soccer, football, whatever, hiking, just living your life is how you meet the people that will be your partner. That's what I found from talking to a lot of people that have been divorced. Now, when you have children involved in the past relationship, it becomes very hard. 70% of marriages end up in divorce that have stepchildren. Nowadays, they don't call them stepchildren anymore. They call it the blended family. Let me tell you, I went through hell when I met my wife, and we got married in 2017. My 3 children out of 4 gave us hell. We had to go for therapy. I had to read a lot of books. I mean, there's so much information out there that people need to have. before they go into relationships. If somebody, one of the things that I said to a friend the other day that called me about blended family was, I said, look, let me tell you something. I am so grateful my wife does not have children, because if my wife had children, we'll be going through what we're going through times 2. So you have to be sure what it is that you want from that relationship. You have to be sure if you're willing to put everything at risk for that relationship. A lot of people, when they leave an old relationship and they have children, they make the children now the priority. They make their children their whole life. I've had female friends in heterosexual relationships. Actually, I used to say the same thing. My children are my whole life. My children are, hi Abimbola, hi, my children are my whole life. I used to say that until I started until my oldest daughter became 25. And I saw that she was beginning to build her own life. And I'm still standing there saying my children are my whole life. To the point where I had a 25-year-old and a 27-year-old living in the house. And when we went to look for houses to live in, they were trying to dictate to my wife and I what part of the house to live in. See, no, we're paying the bills. So what did I do? Here, go get your own apartment. Because at the end of the day, they have their own lives to live. I have mine to live. A lot of people see my wife and I and they ask me, oh my God, how do you do it? We are able to do that because we allow each other to be our authentic selves. And we make each other our own priority, because when your children get older, they will get married. They will become Mrs. whatever. And the Mr. will take on a new wife. And his fiduciary should be to his wife, not his mom. Your daughter's fiduciary should be to her family, not you. That is the problem when you see a lot of mother-in-laws hovering over their sons or daughters, just all over the place in their private and personal businesses, because they don't have their own life. Their children have always been their lives. So you need to let go of the past relationship to be able to move on, to find yourself first. Once you find yourself, you have to decide, do I like the person I know? Or am I going to become the new and improved version of myself? Because a lot of us have learned horrible, bad habits from being around parents, or coming from dysfunctional homes. My father had 12 wives and 26 other children. So there's a lot of things I had to unlearn and relearn. When people talk about University of YouTube, and I'm a student, because what I do is I listen to a lot of talks, I listen to a lot of research, and I look for data. I look for the number of people that have done things this way and it became successful. I look for information about people and their lives, and I interview people to find out what it is Muchi, can do better in my life. There's so many relationships that are going on out there that people don't understand why it's not working. Why is this relationship not working? How is it that I came from a horrible relationship and I keep finding I keep finding myself in this type of horrible relationships all the time? See, the common denomination is you. It's never the other people. I asked myself this morning, why is it that I'm always getting into the same conversations on social media about the same thing? And I realized, wait, it's me. I have too much expectations of Facebook, when in actuality, you could be anything you want to be on Facebook, and most people choose not to be their authentic selves. So when we start talking about relationships and things like that, you have to decide what is important to me? What am I looking for? When I started my journey to a partner, people told me I was a snob. People called me names. Some people said I was a gold digger. But I mean, I'm sorry. What am I supposed to be digging coal? I was almost 50. I was 52 when I got married to my wife. I'd been single since 2006, aside of a couple of dates here and there, for relationships that didn't really work, because I wasn't clear to the universe. I never told the universe what I wanted. So I think it got to be about 2009 or 2013, 14. I started to sit down. One of my therapists had said to me, Moji, look, sit down, write down everything you want in the partner, 20. I wrote it. I sent it to her and she sent it back to me and said, narrow it down to 10. 10? And then I narrowed it down to 10. And then she said, pick the top 4 things that are important to you. So for about 2 years, I kept putting it out into the universe. Remember, they said your tongue is the most powerful weapon you have, yeah? So I started saying, women will come to me and say, hey, I want to date you. First thing I said was, I'm not dating anybody that's married, because that's a normal thing in the Nigerian community, LGBTQ community. Most people are married and then they have a side. And for me, I've never been a side. I don't ever want to be a side chick. I always want to be the main course. So 4 things I was looking for back then. I want somebody Nigerian, because I dated non-Nigerians and they didn't speak the language, they didn't eat the food. For me personally, at that point, I've never even, in my 40-something years, I think I'd only dated about 2 Nigerians in my life, 3 Nigerians in my lifetime, and that was it. So I wanted somebody that was Nigerian so I could cook my pepper soup and we could eat it together. And the head is the best part of the fish after all, and nobody's going to throw up. So I wanted a Nigerian woman. I wanted somebody that was out, as in not in the closet. And I wanted somebody that had their own, as in they had their own jobs, because majority of my adult life, I had supported most people I dated. I just wasn't doing that anymore financially. I wanted somebody that had their own and I have my own and we come together. So that was number 3. And I wanted somebody spiritual, not religious, spiritual, because I had already gone through my own thing of being, religious, where church had broken me because I'm LGBTQ. So but I believe in God, and everything about me revolves around God. And I always ask myself before I do something, what will Jesus Christ do? So I wanted somebody that was that was spiritual. Now, spirituality, I was also asked, how important is spirituality to me? So spirituality was number 2. Hello, Enio Lorunda. Spirituality was number 2 to me. So number 1 was they had to be out. They had to be a lesbian, not bisexual, not trisexual, not monisexual, not any kind of sexual, definitely not a green card sexual. They had to be a lesbian, and they had to be out. They had to have their own. They have to what? They have to be spiritual. 4 things. That's all I was looking for. And I was very adamant about it. And every time somebody came to me and they didn't have those qualities, I said, no, thank you. Because my dad used to tell us, don't smell what you won't eat. So that was it. That's where I let go. That's where I left it. And one of the things that I started to tell everybody around me, because people started saying, oh, Moji is such a snob. She won't date this one. She won't date that one. Why would I even waste my time to date people that don't have the qualities? It's called integrity. It's, some people go out on dates because they're hungry and stuff. I was never that type. Some people called me a snob. It's okay. But when you know who you are, when you know what you want from life, you will be willing to wait for it, because it's very, very important to know what it is that you want from the universe and put it out there. Because when you do that, the universe hears you. I mean, the universe really, really hears you. And the most important thing really is to stand still. That's number 4. Stand still. Stop running around helter-skelter, because look, when you allow your light to shine, your partner will find your light and come towards you. I get asked a lot of questions about how do you find your partner? How do you attract your partner? How is it that your relationship is sweet? How is it that your relationship looks fun? Because I'm fun. Because my wife is my wife, and when we come together, we gel together. The reason why we're able to live this way is because we were our authentic selves when we met. I laugh at everything. I'm a comedian. I laugh at everything. I mean, what? She's funny with a British quirky sense of humor. So what you exude is what you get back. Iron only sharpens iron. You cannot move on until you unpack the suitcases. You cannot walk away from a relationship by running away from it. You got to walk. When you run away from something, right, you don't have the time to gather your senses. You don't have the time to prepare for where you're going. You don't have the time to do your due diligence. So for the next 2, I think, month on YouTube, I will start a new series starting on Wednesday on YouTube and YouTube only. For my life coaching series, it's going to be on YouTube only. I pay dearly for the information I have. I pay dearly for the wisdom that I have. And I have chosen to share it on YouTube because it's a lot. For me, I find that medium a lot more responsive to information. Most people I find on Facebook are looking to be entertained. People that go, most of the people that I know are going to YouTube to do research, to find out information, and to make their lives better, or to create a better world. So for my life coaching series, it's called Authentic Transformation. I have a Facebook group called Authentic Transformation as well. And I'll be giving you small nuggets of what we do in real life. Until you let go of your past, you can't get to the future. And when you don't acknowledge your past either, when you don't own your part in your life, when you're not accountable for your choices, for your mistakes, you don't learn from it, so you don't get to go to the next level. Until we all start to talk about things in truth, until we all start to look at our lives in truth. I talk about the fact that I wear a wig. Yes, I do. I have 12 strands of hair on my head, but I am grateful that I can afford to buy a wig. Somebody that's looking for someone with natural hair is not going to date me. They will date me. The person, my wife, saw me with my, weave. And before we started dating, I sent her a picture of me with my nappy hair, my afro this big, very thin, but this big. I sent it to her and said, hey, this is what I really look like without my wig. She sent me back a text going, what? Do you really think I believe all that is your own hair? And we laughed about it. We kept it moving. Part of the problem is that too many people fake being something that they're not. When you're your authentic self, you have nothing to hide. When you live in your truth, you attract truth. You attract real. You attract that will love you as you are. The good, the bad, and absolutely the ugly. Because at the end of the day, you have to live with you, even after the partner is gone. Because look, there's no guarantee that we'll all die at the same time. So if you don't love you, number one, I'm going to leave you with 3 things here. I know this sounds like a cliche, but if you don't learn to love you and accept you, it's going to be hard to find somebody that compliments you. I always say compliment. I don't want somebody to finish me. I don't want somebody to complete me. Because if somebody completes me, it means that I'm lacking. If somebody completes you, it means you're lacking. So I want somebody that will compliment me, so I can stand on my own. So when you talk about, I'm coming to a relationship 50-50, honey, no. Come to the relationship 100 and 100. 100 and 100 doesn't mean you know it all or you do it all, but be self-sufficient, be who you were created to be. Get to know yourself. Like I told you, I had a life coach, I had a therapist, I've had life coach for real estate. I was number 1 in real estate on Staten Island. I had 3 businesses running at the same time. I owned a restaurant. I have lived. I have truly lived. But majority of my life I lived was to impress other people, was to make my stepmothers know that I could be somebody, was to make my father know that I am absolutely super fantastic as a girl. See, when I let go of all of that baggage that I was dragging with me, then and only then could I find true love. Then and only then can you find true love. Until you fall in love with yourself, the good, the bad, and the ugly. You've heard it a million times. It's not going to happen until you let go of your previous relationships, of your past monsters, until you let go of what people think you should be, of what your mother thinks you should be, of what your father thinks you should be, or what society thinks you should be. It's not going to work. In the Yoruba land, they always say, "Entoba bimo fun yan, o ti ju ale eni lo." Basically, if you have a child with somebody, you're that person's wife. So if you never even signed a marriage certificate, you're considered somebody else's wife. So subliminally in a woman's head, when she's had children with somebody else, she feels tied to that person by the umbilical cord for life. In the Yoruba culture, I don't know about any other culture. Truth is, when you have a child with somebody, you are totally tied together as long as you both are alive or die. That's the only time you can get freedom. But you can manage these things. You don't allow your baby mama dramas or your baby daddy dramas to destroy your relationship. That's number two. Letting go. You let go, you walk away, you don't look back, you just focus on you. By the way, just so you know, my ex-husband owes me $95,000 in child support as of today. For over 10 years, the man didn't pay child support. I kept going back and forth, back and forth. Then I met my wife and we dragged him back to court. I got a judgment. The courts were going to put him in jail, but it was going too long. It was like 2 years back and forth. I just got married. It was 2 years back and forth, back and forth. I had to let go. So when I talk about letting go, I know what letting go looks like. I know what it feels like. I know, I have lived it. I let go of the 95,000. I didn't write it off. I didn't give him a letter saying goodbye, but I stopped chasing him for it. I stopped chasing him for the $95,000 so I could have peace, because we were paying $300 an hour to a lawyer. And you know, the court system in New York is not very fair to women at all. How does somebody owe me $95,000 for like 6 years and they walk in the street? Think about it. $95,000 in child support. I was homeless at one point because the guy sold the house from underneath me to his sister, pulled money out. I walked away from everything I had built with my own two hands. That's called letting go. So when you see Moji happy, living in a nice house, I paid the price for it, because everything comes with a price. Most people are not willing to pay the price. You want to hold one bird in one hand and think you can go and catch. It's easier to catch a bird with both hands than to hold one here. It's easier to run when you're not dragging a dead relationship along with you. It's easier to walk tall when you don't have people holding onto your back for whatever reason. See, too many people use children as a leech to hold on to their partners, ex-partners. Too many people use child support to hold on to their ex-partners, until we let go of everything and find our authentic self. Take the life lessons from the previous relationships along with you, yeah. But to take the lessons, you have to acknowledge your part in it. Until you acknowledge your part in it, it's impossible to pass the class. So how do you know you pass the class? You know you pass the class when you do start to do things differently. Letting go of a relationship is not easy. It's not easy, especially people that have been in long-term relationships, 10, 12 years. That person sometimes feels like your right hand and you can't breathe without them. But let me tell you something. It might be hard in the beginning, but the more you exercise your lungs, the easier it becomes. And the more you flap your wings, the higher you start to fly. The more you let go of garbage, the more you start to attract good things. Let me take social media. Let me take my wife and I. You know, I dated someone in 2013 and she cheated on me. And I said I was done. And I stood still. I was hurt. But, you know, let's be real. The woman was not in the closet. And here I am shouting on social media, I'm gay, I'm gay, I'm gay. You know, set my people free and let my people go. You already know that relationship wasn't going to work. But hey, I still went along with it. She's a good person. She just wasn't good for me, because I'm an LGBTQ advocate. I'm a social commentator. How am I going out with somebody that's in the closet? It's not possible. So that relationship went away in 2013, I believe. And I stopped. I stood still for a while and said, I can't do this. I mean, we were friends for a while. Eventually, the friendship kind of dissolved. You know, as in platonic friends, yeah, lesbian likes to do. We do those kind of things. But I learned that you can't do that. You can't drag dead bodies around with you and expect to be able to find a real relationship. So anyways, like I said, if you don't let go of your past relationship, and maybe even relationships, because there's many people that are carrying the luggage of many, many lifetimes with them. Until we let go of the past relationships, we're not going to be able to do well. We're not going to be able to grow. We're not going to be able to love ourselves. We're not going to be able to accept ourselves. We're not going to be able to surround ourselves with people that uplift us, let alone attract the right kind of love. So yes, in 2016, I met the love of my life doing exactly this. See, when God came to me on that bed, when I tried to commit suicide in the hospital the very last time, and he said to me, I have something for you to do. And I'm like, what? And then finally I heard him say to me, you need to come out, but you have to come out in public. I'm like, I'm already out. And he said, you have to come out in public. And I said, hell no. Imagine if I had not listened to him, I would never have met my wife, because I met my wife as a social commentator on social media. So living your authentic life, becoming your authentic self, no matter how good, bad, or ugly it is, you will attract the right person. I'm not everybody's cup of tea. I'm a very weird human being. My wife is a very weird human being as well. Obviously, she likes me. So imagine if you're pretending to be somebody else. If I was pretending to be somebody else, she would have just looked past me, because there would have been nothing about me that she found interesting, right? A lot of you guys, I see you on social media posing, pretending to be rich, pretending to be happy, pretending to be loving. Me, when I'm angry, everybody knows. When I'm upset, you will know. When I'm joyful, you will know, because that's my authentic self. I will not be upset and hurt other people. That's a mean person. But if you allow yourself to be seen as you are, Nigerians have this thing where we are one person outside and we're another person on the inside. We're one person on social media. I lost respect for a person last week because I was saying, look, all Black lives should matter, yada, yada, yada. And he came after me real strong. We shouldn't use all Black lives. We should use. And then the guy comes in my inbox, calls me on the phone and says, Moji, I totally understand what you're saying about Black Americans and Black people in general. You know, I prefer white to be around white people. I'm like, so why didn't you just say that? Because if you say that, it makes it okay for other people that feel like you, because you've been abused and jumped by. Just say it. Give people the permission to be their authentic self as well. That's visibility. If you're hiding in your basement, nobody can see you. So maybe the doorman will see you or the mailman will see you, but allow your light to shine, because it's not just about you. It's about the other people that are around you, whose lights are probably dim, whose kerosene in their lantern is low, and they need your light to get them out of whatever it is that they're in. It might be one word that changes the life of somebody else. It might be because you shared your authentic story about your life. See, those are all part of letting go, talking to other people, talking people through. My name is Mojisola Wilson. I speak power into truth with a very unique voice. But the thing is that we will talk about the truth. So we'll start to unpack becoming our authentic selves on YouTube. I will not be doing that series on Facebook, because I believe that if you want something, you have to pay a price for it. And this is free. But if you really, truly want it, meet me on YouTube starting next Wednesday on YouTube. And it will be at 12 noon. The normal social commentating that I do will be on Facebook. But the real authentic transformation pieces will be on YouTube and YouTube only. The name of my company is Authentic Transformation. It's about transforming into who you are, not who people believe you are, or not who people say you are. Everybody deserves to live a happy life. So all the knowledge and the wisdom that I have acquired along the years, all the information that I paid for through therapy, through reading, through life coaching, as a certified life coach, I'm bringing it to you guys. If you want in-depth one-on-one life coaching, feel free to inbox me and I'll take you on as a client. I don't take everybody on because I can't help everybody. I specialize in families, blended families, relationships, and LGBTQ issues. That's it. So if you fall into one of those categories and you're looking for a life coach, I don't charge a lot, not because I don't want to, but I do it on a sliding scale. because at one point in my life, I too could not make ends meet. I have been homeless and had a lot of businesses. I have failed, but I have won. You're not a failure because you failed in relationships. You're not a failure because you did not make a happy home. You were not happy in your relationship. That doesn't make you a failure. Not getting up though, not trying to do better, not trying to get to know yourself, not trying to become your authentic self, not trying to become a better version of yourself. Now, that is what I call failing. So if you believe you want to go on the journey with me, go to my YouTube channel. I'll post the link. Subscribe to it so that when I come live or when I post a new video, you'll be one of the first people to get it. And if you just want the social commentating things, stay right here on social media, because there's a lot of fluff on Facebook. People don't like, I don't. If I was talking about people that were shagging this person or that, gossip and all kinds of madness and trolling people and dragging people, I would have 10,000 followers. For me, what I've learned is quantity. Quantity is not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for quality. I'm looking for people that will change themselves and hopefully change their children, hopefully change their friends. Hopefully that's how the world will change. Because like a domino effect, like a domino, you change one, hopefully they change another, and it keeps going on and on and on. Authentic transformations happens when our lives matters to us. When our lives matters to us, then the lives of the next person matters to us. When we love ourselves, then we're able to love the next person until we let go of the past. We cannot ascend to the future. This is Mojisola Wilson. I thank you. Let's see comments. Good morning. Good morning, Abimbola. Yes, oh, indeed. Eniola, be your authentic self. Your tribe will find you. Hi, Monique. Indeed. Anyways, it's Mojisola Wilson. It's about 42 minutes and it's time to go. So I'll see you guys next Wednesday. Go to my YouTube channel, subscribe to it. This particular page will be about social commentating. YouTube is going to be where the real authentic transformation happens. Namaste.